At the end of the war, when the war finally ends with Appomattox, Harpers Ferry had become a mecca, had become a magnet for thousands of formerly enslaved African Americans. And of course, by law in the South, slaves were not permitted to learn. They were not allowed to be educated. And so now we have thousands of citizens, millions of people who have not been educated, who are thirsting for the opportunity to learn. And part of that thirst will bring them to Harpers Ferry, where we have missionaries, and that's what they call themselves, missionaries coming from the north, coming from Maine, coming from New England, a denomination known as the Free Will Baptist, religious denomination, and they started a school in this building. And this was one of the first places in the South after the Civil War to provide education for those that were formerly enslaved. Ultimately, it becomes a school known as Storer College. And after the Civil War, 4 decades after the Civil War had ended, this became a mecca for a great African American leader in his cause. W.B. Du Bois, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, came here with a movement known as the Niagara Movement. And this was the early civil rights movement, 50 years before Dr. Martin Luther King. And so they came here because not only was it a school that represented new opportunity through education, but it also represented the place where John Brown had launched his war to end slavery. And Dr. Du Bois considered anything less than full equal rights as still a form of enslavement. And he came here to fight against that. And so he brought his group here. In 1906, he issued a Declaration of Equality that even Dr. King would acknowledge years later as one of the great speeches in all of American history. And so not only do we have here in this building the beginnings of school and the beginnings of new opportunity, but that continued not here, but only a few blocks from here with the visit of the Niagara Movement and Dr. Du Bois demanding equality for all Americans. Harpers Ferry ultimately helped form the foundation for the establishment of today's NAACP. So we consider our park and our site as being integral to what today is referred to as the civil rights movement.